Okay, next drive. Sees disk changes, reads disk name, mostly writes a disk, then fails. Super crunchy noise, just needs cleaning and grease. So this is what, a Chinon FB-354. Okay, let's see what's going on with this one. It is dusty in there. We are going to clean.
Ugh. Brother, ugh. What's that? What's that, brother?
So I think the drive is set for DF1, Big Box Amiga DF1. Yeah, so it looks like it's set for DF1. I need to move that over. Okay, there we go. Now we're clicking. That's not good. No. What's that? Noise. Okay. Let's take the cover off, and gotta take the front cover off. It's been a minute since I've seen it up front. That's pretty dirty. I'm gonna get smart and blow this out with canned air first, I think.
Moments later.
And this, yeah, it's not too bad now. I see some grease or something on there. No, it's probably just dust. Okay, let's just give the heads a wipe. I'm going to load Amiga test kit. It's a little goofy. That'll work. TF1, head calibration. Well, the head's not good. So I'm going to take the carriage out of this and clean it. So that's going to be this screw right here. There we go. Should allow this thing to come out. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's good. These are pretty dirty in here. So I'm going to go at this thing and clean it up. These things are old at this point. Could be something somebody did years and years ago. That's right up. You know, they tried to resurrect it, 10 years old. Now they're almost 20. Right. Okay, all cleaned up. Let's give this another shot here. Interesting. Well, anyway. Yeah, I guess the only way to do this is to load up AMI alignment again. Let me do that. Pretty sure that's not track 79. Sure. Yeah, the motor's just not turning. So I decided to remove the motor and check the mechanism. The sliding of this, it's pretty smooth. Actually, it turns out later I am wrong here. Although it moves smoothly by hand, I discover when moved with the motor there was extra friction. It is interesting how moving it by grasping the middle of the assembly is different from how the track motor moves it from its offset position to the right on this diagram. When I turn the motor, I don't know if you can hear this, but I think one of the permanent magnets in there unglued itself. That's what I'm hoping. So if I can get this thing apart, yeah, because it's crunchy. The motor is indeed crunchy and may affect the head tracking, but it does not solve the issue, as you will see later. But anyway, so I will try to get this apart. It looks like it has a cover that comes off the back. Just need to pull these guys up and this whole cover will come off. Hopefully that will get me access to it. Okay, I didn't see anything that was loose other than the shaft itself. It's actually loose in the bore. So I got to try to figure out how that's supposed to be held in there. Maybe it just needs to, I don't know. So the permanent magnets are on here and the coil is around the outside of this. I wonder if it's just a matter of this thing not being held. There's only one bushing on this side for the shaft to run on, but I wonder if it doesn't have enough tension to push it up against that. It has its own little collar right there. And I wonder if there's not enough tension, so maybe just this top plate, maybe just bending this out a little bit. Pretty easy to see if that makes a difference because, you know, I can spin it manually when I get it back together again. Okay, well that made some difference. It's kind of tight, but it isn't crunchy anymore, so let's give that a try. Hopefully we get lucky. I also cleaned and lubed the bushing shaft connection with sewing machine oil. Not sure why I didn't film that. Well, I went in some circles. Even though I cleaned these rails that the head's right on, they were still dirty. I can't actually see what's going on underneath. I'm not willing to go to the risk of trying to remove these ribbon cables and trying to disconnect. But this drive is easier than others to work on because you don't have to try to remove the flywheel to get a circuit board out. But basically, this isn't something that you would even be able to test for unless you removed the track motor, because once I did remove the track motor and I was observing its efforts to move the head up and down, I just went ahead and while I had the track motor off, I tried to slide the heads without the track motor in place, and they were kind of gummy. So I sprayed the whole thing down with isopropyl alcohol and blew it out, so that hopefully got what was underneath, but it was still binding, mostly in the back as it turns out, because when I added lube to the front, it didn't really make much of a difference, but when I did it to the rear one, there's two of them, there's two rails. So once I lubed up this rail back here, the thing freed up and now it actually tracks. So it turns out the problem the whole time was that we were binding on that and that I just needed to clean and lube. It's just that I was waiting to lube. Lube is more of a long-term thing that you do. I try to wait to lube things until the very end so that I'm not smearing it all over the place and basically defeating its purpose by displacing it or getting it all over the place, like on the heads or something like that. So usually you can perform basic tests with this without lubing things up too much, but in this case it was needed. So that put me in some circles. All right, so now that I've taken the motor off, obviously it's not going to be aligned because the track alignment here is the rotation of this motor. So we're going to, just like I did with the other ones, I'm going to use the oscilloscope and a program to run the drive and tweak it. Because right now it doesn't read discs, so it's obviously out of alignment. By the way, to get this top carriage back in, you have to kind of finagle. Basically, this arm needs to mesh with this post. This post here needs to go into this catch right here. And you can't just do it by slipping it in, because the minute you try to slip it in, it triggers eject. So basically what I have to do is get the heads on top of this, accidentally trigger a eject, then move this arm forward and trigger the eject again. This post needs to be within this bracket, and then you can trigger the eject by moving that post out, and now it's in the bracket, and that's right. And then you can put the set screw in, and that's it. Oh, it's ejected, or inserted. There we go. This is interesting, and for this particular scenario, the test point that I found is actually messing with the calibration here, because when I touch it, it goes off. So I kind of have to go back and forth, draining off some of the RF signal, I guess. Okay, another drive fixed. Okay, drive number 3, Chinon. Same drive as before. We'll see what's going on. It looks like it's set for drive 1 again, so I need to move that jumper over. It's also pretty crusty. The outside case, it's got some good corrosion on it. And the LED is corroded on its, so this one, and it's got corrosion on the flywheel. And it may not detect the proper RPMs, because that, I believe, is the pickup. Yeah, it's a Hall effect sensor, So it's a magnetic, or is it? It could be optical. Can't tell, but if it's optical, it certainly isn't going to work. So I guess that's probably the first thing I'm going to look for. So the disk sensor is in this corner, right where you see all of this corrosion. Either way, it doesn't even sense that there's a disk inserted, so we're going to start there. Wow. Yeah, sure enough, activating this, I don't know if you can see it, that little pin, activating that does not close any of the contacts up here. Yeah, WP, Write Protect, DIC, disk in something. So this switch is bad. God knows what else is bad. I'm going to try to do contact cleaner in here because we need to get it to the next step. I mean, I need to kind of figure out if this drive is worth the time. Everything from here back seems okay. Everything from here forward is pretty corroded. So this sat kind of in a moist area. Almost there. Uh-oh. Yeah. So this one might have a similar problem. Although it does seem to be moving all the way. So I'm not sure. Let's just check the RPMs, make sure that that is... I'll load ME alignment to check the RPMs. Okay. That's got to be a magnetic pickup Hall effect sensor. According to this, the alignment's good. Sounds a bit crunchy. I don't understand why it doesn't try to boot off of, at least see the disk to boot off of it. It may be because I just happen to not... Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's what I wanted. I guess it's just the intermittent issue of that drive present insertion switch or whatever. There it is. It works. So now it's just a matter of cleaning it and then testing it for real, like, you know, reading and writing. And then, but so the challenge is going to be cleaning this thing. Right? I really should soak it. Not messing with the alignment because I'd rather not deal with that if I don't have to. can see the line that it was sitting in the evaporust. Put that there for now, because I think this bracket is pretty much done. I'll go rinse that out, and I think I'm pretty much done with this also. Let's see. Here's our switch. So we're going to take all that stuff out, and stuff that's pretty much done. And these screws are looking pretty good. Pretty spiffy. This stuff can be, I'm just going to rinse it off and dry it. The drive, however, what I'm going to have to do is rinse it off with alcohol to make sure. This is water-based. Evaporust is water-based. I was looking it up. You know, how safe is it for electronics? Because obviously I'm soaking a circuit board with it. And it's pretty safe, I guess, but it's water-based, so you want to remove all of it. You don't want any of it hanging around, because it'll just rust again. So what I want to do is I want to get this and put it like face down in the water to get rid of all of this. There we go. That's what we want to do right there. Actually, I'll just rinse it off with alcohol. Looking pretty good though. Looking pretty good. Okay, so I just need to come back here to this thing every so often, every few minutes, and scrub this nasty rust spot here. Try to get it. Alright, so unfortunately the amber LED did not survive, but we can use it because the leads just rusted right off of it. It was still attached, but the minute I moved it a little bit, it broke, and it was pretty much eaten through. So I'm going to take this warm white LED and I'm going to shave the end of it so it's flat, and I'm going to file it, you know. I'm going to file the other side, the back side of this original amber LED flat. I'm going to super glue them together, and you will see it will work pretty well. It's not shiny. If you know it's not, if you see it that it's not shiny anymore, you should be good. This one, same thing. Might not be too bad. Yep, I think that's gonna work. So I'll just glue those together, and then I'll solder this in, and we'll see how it looks. Before I get it all the way back together, let's just test it. Make sure I got the LED soldered in right. There's an A on one lead and a K on the other. Is that anode and cathode with a K? I do not know. Alright, so hopefully nothing is shorted on this thing. Yeah, it looks like I got the light correct. But the spindle motor is not working. But something's wrong. I think the disc inserted thing is still not quite right. I gave this drive an alcohol bath. I squirted the whole entire chassis down with alcohol. Well, today's a new day, and overnight the drive seems to have fixed itself, which I thought was a long shot, but you know, I washed the drive yesterday and I just needed to wait for it to completely dry out. I mean, I did spray rubbing alcohol and even this electrical cleaner, which this stuff evaporates instantly. That's what's great about it. Obviously what was happening is, you know, voltage for the motor was reduced, you know, some sort of partial short or resistance somewhere. Because there was still moisture in the drive. Only after I let it dry out overnight did it start to work better. There's a test point on the drive right here. 12 volts here, 0 here. It's interesting, when the drive was not functioning, this test point had voltage on it. Now it pretty much doesn't. It's interesting. So, I mean, there's no way for me to know what that test point is for. It is the only test point that's on the spindle motor assembly. So, which is an odd design. It's a piece of metal. It's a piece of metal that has a circuit board printed on one side of it. Very unusual. That's not a PCB, regular PCB material there. That is actually a piece of metal that literally has a circuit board printed on it. It's quite unusual. I don't know if I've ever seen that. Anyway, I just need to reattach the LED and we should be good to go for further testing. Now this works well, nice and quiet. I washed it and, oh, no. This is the greatest disc for testing with because it really lets you see if there's still a problem with the drive. Always check your tools. I grabbed the other Chinon drive that I already fixed, made sure that that same disc loads fine. So it looks like we are going to do an alignment on this other Chinon. Having trouble finding a good test point. There are 6 test points, but they're unamplified, so that kind of sucks. It's a little easier to read them when they're post-amplifier, and there doesn't seem to be a way to find that. There's no test points for that on here, so we're just going to work in the 10 or 20 millivolt range instead of the 200 millivolt range per division. Plus, I noticed that the disc insertion switch that had given me trouble earlier is still giving me trouble, so I don't know. Let me just put that off for now in case it just decides to dry itself out and start working. Maybe I'll spray it because I don't want to take it apart and break it. This is probably a fairly unreliable disc because it's one of those Maxell discs. Makes a noisy disc. Yeah, see, it doesn't, it's not the, okay, let me try to work on that a little more. Very strange design. One piece spring with a skinny part that goes down in between the contacts. You can see one's in position there. Kind of depends on the little plungers to hold it in place, I guess. But as you push down on the plunger, it causes that spring to compress, and the larger part of the spring makes contact between those 2 contacts that you see there. So yeah, so I'm going to clean that up. Maybe that's all it needs is a cleanup. I'll see. I can test it without putting it back, soldering it back on the drive. But yeah, I'll keep working on that. Yeah, there wasn't any getting away from taking that switch apart. Basically, it would only engage toward the end of its throw. It really needs to engage or close the circuit at the beginning of the throw to be more reliable. And after I took that thing apart and saw how those springs were, the underside of those springs where they actually make contact with the pads, that was all pitted. So I used contact cleaner, and I actually wound up scraping it somewhat to get it clean. So, but now when I test it with the multimeter, it engages almost immediately in the throw. It doesn't have to go all the way to the bottom of the throw of the button before it engages. So yeah, I think we're good. We'll see right now. So this drive, I think, is very, very close. It's just slightly out of alignment, I guess. This disc seems to be the best disc to test with, this original Amiga Workbench 2.1. And probably, you know, the magnetism in there is not as strong as it used to be or whatever, because it certainly is the one disc that seems harder to read. Because I mean, this is one of these Maxell discs, which I'm not a big fan of, but these ones I tend to give me trouble. But this one's kind of crazy. So we'll see. And we're very reliably detecting discs now. Look at it's working now. Okay. Is it possible that switch was through vibration? I mean, and then it threw the error saying that there's no disc or something. That wasn't the error though, I don't think, but I don't know. I'm gonna test this a bunch more times and we'll see. LED that I made up seems to work pretty well. It's perfect now. It's perfect. All right, well, another drive fixed. I'm going to reassemble this one and move on to the last and final drive. On to the next one. Visit my eBay store where I sell Gotex, other Amiga accessories, model railroad stuff, and more. Link is in the description.